When we talk about jobs that are essential, yet the employees are overworked and underfunded, some of our minds immediately go to teachers. A lot of teachers go into their profession hoping to educate the youth and change the world. But what happens when that passion turns into resentment? Let's talk about Lawndale High School's deranged history teacher, Mr. Anthony DiMartino, in this Daria character analysis. Mr. DiMartino is voiced by Mark Thompson, and like the other characters in the show, Mark Thompson provides the voice work for many of our beloved characters, but in this case I guess he does the opposite. You can also find Mark Thompson credited for voicing characters such as Mr. O'Neill, Kevin Thompson, and 𝙈𝙗𝙗𝙗.
Kind of the closest to my personality, but inflated on steroids, and so it was fun to do kind of that, like, all right, babe, cool.
And funny enough, the characters that he voices have somewhat of a complicated history with each other, but let me not get too ahead of myself. Let's talk about what's behind the rage of Mr. DiMartino. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. First and foremost, y'all know I gotta get the formalities out of the way. You can follow me on TikTok, where I have been most active as of recently. Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, all that information is in the description box down below. I also have a second channel where I'm going to be posting strictly lifestyle stuff on there, where I've also reignited the podcast. Now, I wanted to let you guys know that I am going to be going through a move come August, so there are going to be some changes to the setup and just changes in general, so just wanted to put that out there for you guys. I also have a Sims channel where I have plenty of let's plays and just super fun series over there. I literally just made that channel so that I can record my Sims gameplay and watch it back with you guys, of course. And of course, I want to thank my patrons over on Patreon. First of all, this video was actually courtesy of a poll that I posted on there. It was between a character analysis for Mr. DiMartino or a relationship analysis for Brittany and Kevin. Thank you to the person that voted for Mr. DiMartino. This is your personal YouTube video for the month. Always be sure to check Patreon for any updates that I may post. I think I'm going to go this route for future Daria videos with letting you guys choose what is going to be for the month now. Next month is already decided because you guys have been asking me to talk about this for a while. Of course, next month's is going to be Daria, Jane, and Tom. Hold me to it, y'all. I say a lot of things that I do not do. I'm a hypocrite. Don't kill me. Don't sue me. Oop, none of that. But anyway, let's get into it. Mr. DiMartino is known for his raging manic behavior, down to a signature yell every couple of words, a bulging eye in the midst of these fits, and his sarcastic wit. It's said that his appearance and speech is modeled after actor Christopher Walken, and I guess I can see the similarities. With someone like Mr. DiMartino, who has such a disdain for everything, you'd think that his anger and frustration would have peaked by now, but somehow it just keeps going. And no one fuels this fire more than Lawndale High School's golden couple, cheer captain Brittany Taylor and quarterback Kevin Thompson. This disdain goes all the way back to the very first episode called 𝙈𝙪𝙗𝙨𝙬𝙧. But one can only assume this frustration started way before that, since 𝙈𝙬𝙗𝙨 is Daria's first day at this new school, and everyone else, including Brittany and Kevin, has already been taught by Mr. DiMartino for, I'm assuming, at least a semester. In this episode, Mr. DiMartino makes a point of asking Kevin what war was used to justify Manifest Destiny.
All right, class. Who could tell me which war Manifest Destiny was used to justify? Kevin! How about you? Vietnam War?
In Mr. DiMartino's usual sarcastic nature, he points out that that war came a little later, feeling as though Kevin disrespected the people who fought by not even getting the war right. When Brittany chimes in, Mr. DiMartino sees this as a perfect opportunity to call her out too, posing the same question. And when she also can't answer, he takes out his frustrations on the entire class by threatening double homework. Mr. DiMartino's main frustration with these two clearly stems from more than just their classroom performance. There's a bitter undercurrent tied to his low salary, his thankless job, and the fact that no matter how hard he works, people like Brittany and Kevin will probably coast through life. He reminds them, not that subtly, that despite all his effort, he's the one who's going to be scraping by to find money for another pair of pants, and they will still somehow succeed.
Promise me you'll come back and see me someday when you've got the Heisman Trophy and a chain of auto dealerships, and I'm saving up for a second pair of pants. Will you promise me that, Kevin?
Sure.
The sight of Kevin and Brittany alone seems to trigger his rage, and I'm sure that in the season 1 episode Cafe Disaffecto, the last thing he wanted to see was them at his front door while in the comfort of his own home, no less. They're there to raise money for a new Lawndale Youth Coffee House, and Mr. DiMartino is immediately annoyed by their pushy fundraising efforts.
How about a magazine subscription?
Would you like to join a CD or cassette club? 20 albums for a penny and no obligation to buy ever.
How would you like to receive fragrant blooming flower seeds every month?
He tells them point blank that he wishes they'd put this same energy into their schoolwork, especially since they just got done apologizing for their failing grades in his class. In the season 1 episode Pinch Sitter, Mr. DiMartino tries to teach a lesson on peer pressure by telling the class a captivating retelling of the 1970s Jonestown mass murder-suicide. He explains how a cult leader coerced his followers into drinking cyanide-laced fruit punch and asks the class what they can learn from this. Of course, he singles out Kevin and Brittany first.
What lesson can we take from this tragic example of herd-like behavior? Kevin?
BYOB?
Now look, Kevin might be an idiot, but when I tell you he says the most funny stuff in this show, you can't help but laugh at the stuff that flies out of his mouth. Like, what does he be thinking? He doesn't, and that's the thing. Mr. DiMartino continues his backhanded lesson, asking for another example of a group that uses coercive techniques like chanting, social isolation, and peer pressure to control its members. And Brittany immediately links this to cheerleading. And even though he clearly can't stand them, he actually gives Brittany some credit for occasionally stumbling upon a decent point.
Brittany, although your topic, the cult of abs, was an intriguing one, I'm afraid that the choice of photo collage rather than actual text did not work to your advantage.
Kevy, what's that A doing on your paper?
Why, Brittany, that's the most intelligent question you've asked all year.
Thanks!
His resentment towards Kevin, however, runs a little deeper. He goes out of his way to remind Kevin that he'll never amount to anything, even while believing that Kevin will somehow succeed regardless of who he is.
Petroleum dispensation? Hey, I'm gonna be an oil typhoon!
Sound it out, Kevin! This says you'll be pumping gas at a filling station. Do you think that atrophied pea-sized cluster of cells you refer to as your brain can remember the complicated instructions I just gave you?
And honestly, I think he just feels this way about the entire football team, because in the season 4 episode Murder She Snored, the football team gets suspiciously high scores, with Mr. DiMartino admitting that he already had very low expectations for the class, and then goes on a witch hunt to find who stole the test out of his filing cabinet. Kevin, who supposedly got a perfect score on this test, can't even answer who the principal players in the Teapot Dome scandal were when Mr. DiMartino pops this question on him, further fueling his suspicions.
Teapot Dome, Kevin, not Superdome!
Teapot. The New England Patriots!
How many teams are there in the NFL? I want to know if this is going to run into lunch.
And honestly, my favorite thing about watching Daria is how it's such a timestamp. And watching these episodes with Mr. DiMartino being a history teacher, it really reminded me why history was my favorite subject in school. So of course, right after this, I will be watching some documentaries on this Teapot Dome scandal since the Nevada school system completely failed me. And just out of curiosity, go ahead and Google where Nevada ranks in US education. Anyway, just like before, thanks to Kevin's nonsense, Mr. DiMartino punishes the entire class, threatening to fail everyone if the guilty party does not come forward. But here's the twist. This episode turns into a whole dream sequence from Daria's perspective, where Kevin ends up dead.
Half the class already wants to kill him.
They're just saying that to get our hopes up. Ouch.
When did my locker get so big?
This wouldn't be the first time that Jane has spoken death on someone just for them to actually end up dying. Even though it's a dream, I feel like this is a callback to the Misery Chick episode where Jane casually wished death upon ex-Lawndale QB Tommy Sherman, then boom, in the next scene, he's dead. Which shows that this past incident has not left Daria's subconscious in some way, and this also may be the show's way of correlating Tommy Sherman to Kevin again. Anyway, spoiler alert for those who have not seen. In her dream, everyone had a hand in Kevin's demise. Jane put cyanide in his sandwich. Mac hit him over the head with a club, Brittany shoots an arrow into him, Miss Barch gets a dirty kick in, and Mr. DiMartino, he strangles Kevin's already lifeless body, then stuffs him into Daria's locker. Bleak and gruesome, I know. But then in real life, Mr. DiMartino decides to hand out a surprise makeup test instead of failing everyone. Kevin stumbles into class pretending to be injured, pissing everybody off. And this time, not in a dream, Mr. DiMartino actually strangles Kevin. So as you can see, his over-the-top reactions don't just stop at yelling. Kevin pushes him to the point of literal physical violence. In season 2's The Daria Hunter, Mr. DiMartino announces to the class that they will be going on an interdisciplinary field trip with the Science and Language Arts departments to Jim's paintballing jungle. Of course, it's not a history lesson, but it's still an important announcement, and seeing Kevin sleeping through this completely sets him off. He starts insulting not just Kevin, but the whole class's parents, calling them subservient slaves to their six-figure jobs.
Yes, Kevin. My dad's not a sycophant, Mr. D. He's a contractor.
Kevin, stay close to me when we get to the paintball range, all right, son?
Sure.
Once they get to the paintball field, Mr. DiMartino sticks to his evil master plan to hit Kevin with a paintball and tells the team that the object of the game is to shoot to kill. Daria quickly corrects him, reminding him that the goal is actually a game of capture the flag. Mr. DiMartino shrugs this off, clearly planning to interpret the rules as he sees fit. This obsession with violence and war comes as no surprise when you learn that Mr. DiMartino is a war veteran himself. This, I'm sure, is why in the very first episode, he's offended that Kevin misdates the Vietnam War, seeing as he was one of the people that actually served in it. And it's also why he was eager for the students to go paintballing, telling them that it was a lesson on how warfare impacts all aspects of culture.
To understand the disruptive nature of war on society, first, we must understand its shattering impact on individuals.
This unresolved anger and trauma, however, didn't start with serving in the Vietnam War. Like Daria's dad, Jake, Mr. DiMartino went to military school as a teenager, and in their drunken confessions on this school trip, Mr. DiMartino admits that his mom would send him off with their strange and twisted neighbors so she wouldn't have to explain to her dates that she had a son. He even confesses later in the show that one of his buddies went on to marry his mom. I'm assuming his mom is a resident in Cougar Town, and strangely enough, trauma dump, I related with this whole portion of his life. I'm also under the assumption that in this time of forced independence, he learned survival skills like how to cook a whole chicken as seen in Cafe Disaffecto. However, life skills isn't the only thing that Mr. DiMartino took away from these tough life experiences. He shows many signs of not only PTSD, but also depression, burnout, and some serious health issues that he refuses to address. Aside from the fact that he snores, showing possible signs of sleep apnea, we find out that in the season 1 episode The Big House, Mr. DiMartino suffered a heart attack during the teacher's roller hockey tournament. And although he went through an excruciating workout regimen to redeem himself in the following year's school tournament, we know that he still smokes cigarettes on occasion and drinks very heavily.
Give me that!
Say, did you by any chance go to military school?
How'd you know that?
He expresses that he drowns his sorrows in whiskey, trying not to spiral at the thought of what could have been if he had followed his dreams, and dealing with the constant reminder that every day that he clocks into work, his students will most likely take away nothing from his classroom.
I certainly appreciate your help in cleaning out the classroom for the summer. It almost makes me forget that most of you didn't learn a thing all year.
That's not true. I learned to sleep sitting up.
The rest of you conserve your energy. Do as little as possible. Pretend you're in class.
While Mr. DiMartino is a very boisterous character, I think that his sarcastic nature often hides the fact that he has very low self-worth. Like Tyler the Creator said, sometimes the loudest person in the room is the loneliest person in the room. In the season 3 episode Just Add Water, we learned that on top of his drinking problem, he also has a gambling problem, which just shows signs of a lack of self-control.
Timothy, I got a problem. A gambling problem. Once I start, I can't stop.
He even repeatedly calls himself a loser in this episode. Mr. DiMartino also constantly reiterates his disdain for choosing a career path in high school education.
Why couldn't I have been born during an influenza epidemic or at the base of a volcano? Why did I survive, grow tall and strong, only to squander all my potential by becoming a teacher?
When he would have made such a wonderful motivational speaker.
And there's a reason why he probably chose this path, because as we see in the Is It Fall Yet movie, he has a very short tolerance for adolescent kids and the constant squeaky high-pitched noises they make. Mr. DiMartino is stuck as a camp counselor at OK to Cry Choral alongside Mr. O'Neill and Daria. Mr. O'Neill tells the campers that this will be a summer of self-discovery. And although the message was aimed at the kids, it's also a journey that Mr. DiMartino finds himself on in this movie. He says that his goal in being a camp counselor is to rediscover the joy and satisfaction of teaching and remember the motives that led him to pursue such a thankless profession per his doctor's orders. Because along with the other health issues we've discussed, his doctor warned him to reduce his stress in order to prevent a cerebral hemorrhage. And this proves to be a very difficult task for him. He grows frustrated with lanyard making, irritable with the constant singing, and increasingly agitated at being unable to escape Kevin Thompson, or in this case, a Kevin Thompson in training.
My child within wants to be a winner. Everyone knows football players are winners.
Obviously, your definition of a winner is a degenerate slacker and a lifetime goal of excelling at all noise contests while never, ever doing any honest work of any kind.
And after making this kid cry, he breaks down realizing that he's no good with working with young people. But in an unexpected turn of events, the kids actually cheer for Uncle Anthony after he runs off the camp bully, exclaiming that they don't care about that kid's child within, completely changing his perspective on his actions. He embraces the title of Uncle Anthony and even becomes the voice for the children who just want to play outside. However, Mr. O'Neill insists that they stay indoors to listen to their souls, which he claims is easier to do inside. It's at this moment that Mr. DiMartino completely loses his cool in front of the students after Mr. O'Neill politely declines his suggestion to frolic outside.
Perhaps little Curtis has a point. Maybe frolicking outdoors would offer a refreshing counterpoint to sitting in a circle like a quilting bee of shut-ins.
Anthony, please. You're supposed to be setting an example.
And after being forced to hold hands with sticky peanut butter covered children, he completely snaps. But even after throwing a whole sink, mind you, picked up a whole sink, threw it out the window, the kids are still amused by Mr. DiMartino's antics. Later, they completely disregard Mr. O'Neill, who's like the head camp counselor, and only want to hear Uncle Anthony speak because he's cool. Daria made a joke at the beginning of this episode, sarcastically saying that instead of being a teacher, Mr. DiMartino could have had a job as a motivational speaker. This, of course, was meant as a jab due to the bleak nature of a lot of his outbursts, but towards the end of summer camp, he gives a commandingly influential speech to the kids.
Remember, if you feel yourself getting mad, go ahead. If someone's doing something to irritate you, tell them about it in detail. And hike whenever you feel like it.
The kid's positive reception and the thrill of giving such a passionate speech reawakens his hunger to enlighten, reminding him why he wanted to be a teacher in the first place. This shows that despite the constant reminder of his deferred dreams as he steps into the classroom every day and the waking dread of his reality, Mr. DiMartino is still able to show glimpses of passion and humanity. This is often seen while teaching curious students like Daria, Jody, and even sometimes Quinn, post season 4 of course. At the end of the Is It Fall Yet movie, we're brought back to the history lesson on Manifest Destiny as Quinn enters a new grade, now having Mr. DiMartino as her history teacher. Quinn bravely raises her hand, contrary to Fashion Club norms, to define Manifest Destiny, which she does correctly, and Mr. DiMartino thanks her for making his day rewarding.
Because why bother owning the country if Hollywood wasn't included?
Quinn, that's very good. Thank you for making my day rewarding.
And I'm sure this is how he similarly felt having Daria in his class for the first time, which is genuinely a full circle moment from the first episode. Daria is one of the few students who he has shown an open fondness to, with her willingness not only to absorb the knowledge, but to comprehend and recite the information correctly.
Daria, take my chips.
Excuse me.
You know, as a thank you for making me want to kill myself a little less than the processed sausages who call themselves your classmates.
You're not one of those young people are our greatest hope guys, are you?
Upon first meeting Daria in the first episode, Mr. DiMartino assumed she was going to be another incompetent student, calling on her to answer a similar question on Manifest Destiny that he posed to Kevin and Brittany.
Perhaps you feel it's unfair to be asked a question on your first day of class.
Excuse me?
He ends up with egg on his face when she answers the question not only correctly, but concisely. And I believe in this moment she actually earned his respect. But of course, due to Mr. DiMartino's unregulated hot and cold nature, when the rest of the class is unable to answer the question and Daria raises her hand to get this tit for tat over with, Mr. DiMartino yells at her to stop showing off.
I want to volunteer with the answer. Now! Daria, stop showing off!
We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful, otherwise you will threaten the man.
In many ways, I think Mr. DiMartino sees himself in Daria, even admitting in the episode The Daria Hunter that her sarcasm amuses him. Because as we know, Mr. DiMartino speaks in nothing but insults and sarcasm 24/7. I think that when students like Daria prove that his educational efforts aren't completely going to waste and put an actual effort into their academic work, it gives him a glimpse of hope.
Your paper was excellent, and the original research was thought-provoking, although it would probably be considered a felony in most states.
I'm sure it also helps seeing students like Jody and Daria succeed in school. We see him verbally showing Daria support in the Is It College Yet graduation for receiving the Lawndale High School Diane Fossey Award. In Is It Fall Yet, he even thanks the students for helping him clean his classroom, saying that it almost makes him forget that they didn't learn a damn thing all year. In many cases, I feel like Mr. DiMartino just wants to be appreciated as a teacher and is able to show gratitude in moments like these. I thought it was pretty sweet and shows that he actually cares about his students, that his only hopes for them over the summer were to stay out of prison, stay out the hospital, stay out of the cemetery, and read a book, along with some other things I couldn't make out from the board. Even these small gestures of kindness from his students shows that they don't think too negatively of him, despite many of his outward flaws. I mean, in the season 1 episode The Big House, they were betting on him to have another heart attack, but I honestly think that's just cynical teen amusement more than actual disdain or a real desire for seeing him keel over. However, when they get a chance to show their interpretation of Mr. DiMartino, it's never friendly. For instance, in the season 2 episode Right Where It Hurts, Daria imagines Mr. DiMartino as the officiant at Kevin and Jane's wedding. Seeing as Mr. DiMartino and Jane have deep-seated hatred for the QB, this could be interpreted as some form of punishment. And also in the season 3 episode Jane's Edition, Daria and Jane include Mr. DiMartino in the anchor portion of their multimedia project, presenting the emotional trauma cycle of a high school student, portraying him as a paranoid maniac who doesn't want a microphone in his face. And to make matters worse, in the season 4 episode Legends of the Mall, Trent, who is possibly a Lawndale High graduate, he doesn't know.
I didn't even go to my own graduation.
So you did graduate?
I'm pretty sure.
Tells an urban legend about Metal Mouth, who is portrayed as Mr. DiMartino. Metal Mouth started out as a metal shop teacher who believed that wood shop was for hammer tapping punks. This teacher had a bad habit of grinding his teeth out of anger and frustration and ended up grinding his teeth to nothing.
Now, normally, this is where we'd fit you for dentures, but you're a teacher, right? Okay, then, here are some baby food coupons.
After being picked on by his students, specifically one very reminiscent of Kevin, he retaliates by hand forging himself steel dentures. But those steel dentures had one flaw. They picked up radio station signals. I'm also personally under the impression that Mr. DiMartino values the arts or just simply has it out for the football team or something. In the season 2 episode The New Kid, Daria finds unlikely friendship and a possible crush on the sheltered nerdy kid in yearbook club, Ted. Ted wishes that volunteering and charity fundraising got as much yearbook space as sports and clubs. So he and Daria bravely go up to Mr. DiMartino, with Ted lumping Daria into his freaking shenanigans, sharing his thoughts on how some students students are making a real difference and are being shortchanged. Mr. DiMartino sarcastically suggests cutting some pages from sports and clubs to make room, with Ted agreeing. And with Mr. DiMartino's knack for chaos, he spins this whole situation by blurting this idea out to the entire yearbook room, telling them that it wasn't his idea and that they're being sabotaged by their fellow yearbook club members. This turns the entire school against Ted and Daria. And although it may seem like Mr. DiMartino was just being messy for the sake of mess, when the students stormed his class to demand their yearbook pages back, he actually co-signs that Ted and Daria made a good decision, whether it's fair or not. And I wasn't involved in clubs in school outside of Students Against Depression, aka SAD, but I didn't know that yearbook was this popular. This attempt to get these sports and clubs pages back ends up being a failure after Ted crushes Kevin's head in a gripping contest. Mr. DiMartino obviously doesn't give a single damn about this to try to stop it, but slams the door behind Kevin as he runs out in anguish. And after witnessing the success of the yearbook cuts, he's already pre-planning to pitch a cut to the chess club to the union. And although he got power hungry with the cutting of extracurricular activities, I do believe he has a soft spot for not only his students, but for people in general. In the season 4 episode, A Tree Grows in Lawndale, he tries to stop some students when he's under the impression they're smoking in the bathroom.
Oh no! You ruined it! Now Tommy Sherman's ghost will never go away!
Well, forgive me if I didn't see the sign on the door that said girls' exorcism room.
In the season 5 episode Life in the Past lane, when 𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧 gets seemingly stuck in a treasure chest, to watch the episode, during a magic trick mishap, Mr. DiMartino rushes to break him out, of course complaining and grumbling along the way that he's always the one to get the ill-fitted out of situations that they got themselves into. And in the season 4 episode Antisocial Climbers, although again he complains and grumbles before doing every single one of these actions, when Mr. O'Neill starts having an asthma attack, he pulls him up the mountain with the help of Miss Barch and even puts himself on the line to go out and find firewood when the entire school trip gets stuck in a blizzard. Although he opposed the buddy system that Jody suggested, he assembles multiple search parties to go out and find Miss Lee and Mr. O'Neill, and even puts himself on the line again to go find food all by himself. He declines Daria and Jane's selfish offer to join this search party, saying that it'll be too dangerous, only agreeing to allow them to come shortly after with a disclaimer.
Once you walk out those doors, you may not be coming back.
Okay, then we're all on the same page.
In an ironic turn, he offers to keep them safe on this journey, then takes a wrong step and falls off a steep cliff, finding his way to the Morgendorfers, joining their game of charades, showing that he's not always a hard ass and enjoys fun on occasion.
What's that for?
Hush money.
I mean, a man with as much passion as Mr. DiMartino is bound to be an onion, just constantly peeling back layers of lore. In the season 2 episode That Was Then, This Is Dumb, we find out that FDR may possibly be his favorite president.
FDR? No, sir. You won't find socialists on any of my toilet seats.
And I'm also under the assumption that Mr. DiMartino votes blue.
The Democratic Party came to be associated with the quote-unquote welfare state, and the Republican Party with a more Darwinian approach.
He apparently enjoys music by American singer Annette Funicello, probably said that wrong, and with the help of 𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧, who says Mr. DiMartino is a man of culture and breeding, he adds to his girly mag collection with a copy of Bachelor Confidential. He seems to have a borderline, if not completely inappropriate relationship with 𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧 as well. In the season 5 episode Life in the Past lane, we find out that Mr. DiMartino and 𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙗 are both in on this scheme to scam the naive magic seers like Mr. O'Neill into betting against Mr. DiMartino in a find the ball under a cup game. Of course, Mr. DiMartino, being in on this, knows which cup to pick, convincing Mr. O'Neill to double his bet while they pocket both his and Mr. DiMartino's cut.
Thanks for the assistance, Mr. D. Plantino.
I quite enjoy helping the credulous horde learn a valuable lesson about gullibility and trust. Give me my cut!
And this isn't too far off for Mr. DiMartino because, as we know, he has a gambling problem. We also learn in the season 5 episode Lucky Strike that he's the head of the Lawndale Teachers Union. One thing Mr. DiMartino has been consistently passionate about is education, and getting not only what he, but all the teachers feel like their work is worth.
You know very well that you are no longer allowed to consume food at school functions What with your abysmal behavior at last year's bake sale?
I explained to you at the time that I was merely trying to stretch a food budget drawn tight.
Drawn tight by what?
By having to make ends meet on a shoeshine boy's salary.
So of course, when their sideways principal, Miss Lee, offers a new coffee maker in the teacher's lounge instead of a raise, he's rightfully offended, starting a teacher strike in retaliation. After protesting in front of the school and constantly threatening Miss Lee that he'll begin picketing naked, she eventually budges for a 1% raise. This, of course, is disrespectfully not enough, and in a manic showdown, he successfully gets Miss Lee to sign a contract with a better deal, unlike his failed first strike. This victory comes as a surprise to everyone involved. However, when Mr. DiMartino returns to class, he's once again faced with Kevin's stupidity. And although he made 10 steps forward, Kevin's incompetence sends Mr. DiMartino's mental state 50 steps back, breaking down in tears, wondering, was this all even worth it? And while the students might be his most visible source of frustration, they're not the only ones that raise his blood pressure. Mr. DiMartino's relationships with the other staff at Lawndale High paint an even more complex picture of who he is and what he's up against. Although Mr. DiMartino strikes fear into the hearts of many, when he crosses paths with certain people, particularly women, he's interestingly fearful and often subservient. From the perspective of his antagonistic dynamic with his boss, Miss Lee, she often exploits him, is dismissive of his concerns, and even forces him to do stuff that he doesn't want to do. In the season 3 episode The Old and the Beautiful, after yet another frustrating encounter with Kevin and Brittany, Miss Lee enters the classroom and he swiftly tries to resign, but Miss Lee stops him in his tracks, reminding him that she already made it clear he cannot resign during class. And as we know, Mr. DiMartino has a gambling problem. So in the season 3 episode Just Add Water, when he begs Miss Lee to excuse him from the school's casino nights, she's completely unmoved by his desperation, instead announcing over the PA system that attendance to casino night is now mandatory for everyone.
Miss Lee, I implore you!
Please, Mr. DiMartino! I haven't heard anyone try so hard to squirm out of a school event since Helen Morgendorfer made up that ridiculous excuse about being allergic to crepe paper.
And with that, Mr. DiMartino is sucked right back into his gambling habits. In the season 4 episode The F Word, Mr. DiMartino complains about the $20 per diem they receive to attend a teacher seminar. And honestly, I'm shocked that they're able to get all this seafood for just $20 a day to cover their meals for employees traveling on a school business trip. But of course, Miss Lee is shadier than a freaking oak tree and accidentally confesses that they were actually supposed to get $50 a day. She just pocketed the extra $30 per teacher for herself. We rarely ever see Mr. DiMartino interact with the art teacher, Miss Defoe. The only instance I can think of was when they were striking in the episode Lucky Strike. I would assume their relationship isn't a hostile one, as Miss Defoe is all about peace, love, and light. However, this would be the exact opposite of his relationship with Miss Barch, the science teacher at Lawndale High. Honestly, I don't know where the hell they're finding these teachers, but she's pretty much on par with Mr. DiMartino when it comes to anger and physical violence, except she's a raging misandrist.
Kevin! Shut up, Kevin.
And she often takes her anger out on Mr. DiMartino, who is one of the more outspoken male teachers at Lawndale. Mr. DiMartino doesn't fear much, but when Miss Barch comes around, he's shaking in his boots. If I have the timeline correct, he first became fearful of Miss Barch in the season 2 episode The Daria Hunter, where she wrongfully ambushes him with paintballs, calling him a rotten dirt bag for all the pain that he supposedly caused her.
Madam, I believe you've got me confused with someone else. I'm not your ex-husband!
I know that, but he's not here!
At the end of that same season, in the episode The New Kid, when Mr. DiMartino cuts sports and clubs from yearbook, Miss Barch comes into his classroom with a vengeance. As the faculty advisor to the science club and the sponsor of the Lawndale High's Women's Self-Defense Club, she beats him until he agrees to put clubs back in the yearbook. And at this point, I just think she just got it out for him, because in the season 3 episode The Lawndale File, Mr. DiMartino is falsely arrested by ICE agents after a mysterious report claims he's an undocumented immigrant. The mystery reporter, Miss Barch.
Damn it.
And to make matters worse for Mr. DiMartino, he actually tries to do the right thing and intervene in what he sees as a toxic relationship between Mr. O'Neill and Miss Barch. He encourages Mr. O'Neill to break things off, but of course, Miss Barch doesn't take that lightly and hits Mr. DiMartino where it counts, leaving him battered and bruised at their graduation and isn't college yet. The last we see of this relationship is literally him running in fear to avoid getting another right hook from her. One of the more positive teacher-on-teacher connections is his relationship with English teacher Mr. O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill is very similar to Mr. Frond in Bob's Burgers in my opinion, with the constant need to guide and counsel his students whether it's helpful or freaking not. This creates a lot of complicated dynamics not only with his students but also amongst the faculty. Many find him invasive or annoying, or both. His cheerful, perky nature is the polar opposite of Mr. DiMartino's, so it makes sense that he often finds him grating, especially with his constant encouragement and spontaneous singing of songs. However, they've both been known to help each other out in times of need. Mr. DiMartino even saves Mr. O'Neill from embarrassment in the season 2 episode The Daria Hunter.
Come on, Leside. Don't be shy. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill, for your tireless dedication in reminding the students how out of touch we are.
Then there's a time in the episode Just Add Water when Mr. O'Neill talks Mr. DiMartino down from spiraling into a full-blown gambling relapse. He gently suggests to just give his chips away, and even musters the courage to slap some sense into him when he starts getting manic. Mr. DiMartino did admit that it helped, but made sure to let him know to never do that shit again. In the movie and series finale Is It College Yet?, Miss Barch storms into Mr. O'Neill's classroom, venting about her ex-husband who, on this day 5 years ago, had chosen to divorce her. When Mr. O'Neill tries to explain his personal definition of marriage, Miss Barch misinterprets this as a proposal. Mr. DiMartino just so happens to overhear this interaction, and in this rare occurrence, both of his eyes bulge instead of just the one. A clear sign that his rage has officially hit a new level. This is obviously not what Mr. O'Neill intended, as he tries to have a serious conversation about how they're moving too fast. Miss Barch repeatedly interrupts him, not allowing him to say his piece. Later, Mr. O'Neill receives a cryptic ransom-style note under his door telling him to meet him at a bar at 8 o'clock.
When will Miss Lee stop trying to collect fingerprint samples?
But to his surprise, it's from Mr. DiMartino. He tells him that he can't just stand idly by while a friend and colleague teeters on the edge of unimaginable misery. Of course, he's referring to Mr. O'Neill's engagement to Miss Barch, who he essentially sees as the devil.
It's very refreshing. The citrus adds a tang.
I'm talking about your espousal to the she-devil who walks among us!
He's hell-bent on helping Mr. O'Neill stand up against himself against Miss Barch to end this engagement, even though Miss Lee's rule against faculty fraternization is one that he actually opposes. And touched by Mr. DiMartino's conviction, Mr. O'Neill calls him his best friend, and he doesn't object, so I guess it's true. Seeing him cry even moves Mr. DiMartino to tears, confusing the bartender who made their drinks, assuming something is not right with them. Later in Mr. DiMartino's classroom, he feeds Mr. O'Neill the lines to use when breaking up with Miss Barch, but Mr. O'Neill, being his usual bubbly ray of sunshine, struggles to match Mr. DiMartino's furious cadence. When Miss Barch finally finds them, Mr. DiMartino does most of the talking, and after hearing it's officially over, she's so enraged that she punches him.
My good eye!
Although Mr. DiMartino may seem like someone who would self-isolate and not want to be around people, he's often in the mix and, dare I say, a pillar to the community. Mr. DiMartino is a satirical interpretation of burned out educators. Despite how comically angry he is all the time, don't let that distract you from the fact that he is someone who's passionate about many things. However, those passions were crushed by a system he constantly tries to reform. It seems the end of his story, based on the credits of Is It College Yet?, was him becoming a loony mailman. Maybe it's a side gig, seeing as he's underpaid, or maybe it's not even canon like the rest of these end credit scenes in these episodes, but one thing I know for sure is that along this journey from neglected child to arguably someone's favorite teacher, Mr. DiMartino made an impact on the lives that he has come across, whether it was inflicting trauma on those he didn't like or educating those willing to listen. What are your thoughts on this manic, raging teacher that is Mr. DiMartino? Let me know in the comments down below. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. And if you made it to the end of this video, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and I will see you guys in my next one. Peace.